When you donate to a charity live stream and that money leaves your bank account and it goes to the charity, do you expect that money to actually be going to the charity that you're donating to, or do you expect it to sit in a bank account for years? What do you think is the more logical option? Hello guys and gals, me Mutahar, and today we've got a pretty serious video to make. Throughout my career, people make mistakes and there's accountability to be taken, and I am not shy to taking real accountability to actual mistakes.
Mutahar, you lying f***ing scumbag! What is your problem, dude? Why do you throw me under the bus for some dude that's got lolly in his videos? What is your problem?
Hello?
Since ancient times, there have always been people who could captivate thousands using nothing but their words.
I wake up every day, I do my job, I scratch my balls, I play around with Linux, some video games, and that's my life, dude.
Mutahar of SomeOrdinaryGamers is one such person. But unlike speakers of the past who spoke on marble platforms, he speaks through YouTube and Discord calls. His voice has served as the voice of reason, integrity, and sometimes curiosity on the internet.
That is a lot of money that has gone to save lives and fight against this pandemic. You may look at his net worth and say, wow, he donated a tiny percentage of his cash, but that's $100 million that any organization can do wonders with if they use it appropriately. Ethan did the exact same thing. He looked at Jeff Bezos, said, wow, the richest guy in the world only gave $100 million, and just completely shat on it.
A self-described computer engineer and cybersecurity expert who dove into the darkest corners of the web and came back with stories. A YouTuber who exposed scams, dissected controversies, and often presented himself as the rational side to internet hysteria.
I'm a computer engineer. I'm a fucking computer engineer.
I'm a computer engineer.
In Toronto, nobody by that name specifically has suffered any form of death, right?
No. I have an Alexia, but there's no death in that.
Okay, so as far as the Toronto police know, she is in fact alive.
Yeah.
But that's that with the good side, because beneath the cool-headed demeanor he attacks other creators with, and the technical jargon, a far more complicated story was taking shape. One filled with mostly contradictions, half-truths, and moral backflips. Backflips because Mutahar spent years holding others to account, calling out liars and frauds. Questions were quietly building about his own honesty. You see, over the years, he's described himself as many things. An engineer, a programmer, a video editor, even a producer who worked in LA, Tokyo, and Dubai.
He's an engineer.
I'm an engineer. I'm a fucking engineer. I'm a goddamn engineer. I'm an engineer. I'm a engineer. I'm an engineer. I'm only an engineer. Oh, I'm an engineer. So I'm an engineer. I'm just an engineer.
His fans saw him as a prodigy of many trades, but others saw something else. A man whose stories didn't quite line up. From false claims of military involvement, to the now infamous engineer controversy, to the total collapse of his podcast amid allegations of hypocrisy and dishonesty over his actual job. Mutahar's carefully built reputation began to unravel piece by piece.
He's an engineer.
I'm an engineer. I'm a fucking engineer. I'm a goddamn engineer. I'm an engineer. I'm a engineer. I'm an engineer. I'm only an engineer. Oh, I'm an engineer. So I'm an engineer. I'm just an engineer.
YouTube isn't my job. Thank God my job isn't YouTube.
YouTube is not my job.
YouTube is not my job. YouTube is not my job.
YouTube is not my job.
YouTube is not my job.
I use YouTube as a hobby. This is not a job. YouTube is
on YouTube.
I think like 3.4 or 5 million or something. I don't know the exact amount.
3.5, like 3.5 million. We'll say that. And you're still doing multiple 9-to-5s where you're running different businesses. You were talking about Q4
I'm the
being
CEO of our
extremely
own
busy.
company. Like I'm the CEO of
Right.
like our own group. We do a lot of like property and like asset investment around where we live.
His fallout with Ethan Klein, his investigations into creators like JStation and the Completionist, his ties to NuxTaku during the podcast scandal where each episode revealed the contradictions of the man behind the microphone.
I upload every day and YouTube's not even my job. I was like, shut the f up, bro. But like, yes it is, shut up.
Ethan did the exact same thing. He looked at Jeff Bezos, said, wow, the richest guy in the world only gave $100 million, and just completely shat on it.
To be this righteously angry, surely I must have said that. I mean, all of his fans are spamming our subreddit, they're tweeting at me hate. They're emailing me hate shit. It's got all these views and likes. Surely I actually said that, right? Let me actually look back and see, what did I say? So I talked about how...
His first controversy, however, was in 2020 when the platform was consumed by one of its biggest creator feuds. A war of words between Ethan Klein, host of H3H3 Productions, and Daniel Kleinstar, the infamous drama host behind Drama Alert. Their conflict drew in nearly every major figure in the community, forcing creators to choose sides in what quickly became a moral spectacle. Mutahar somehow decided to step into the crossfire. At the time, he was friendly with Kleinstar, and while he wasn't directly involved in the feud, he seemed compelled to voice his opinion. The result was a video titled The Hypocrisy of Ethan Klein, a 7-minute critique that would mark the first serious dent in his credibility. In the video, Mutahar accused Ethan Klein of donation shaming Jeff Bezos, after the Amazon CEO donated $100 million to COVID-19 relief efforts through Feeding America. Mutahar framed Ethan as hypocritical, calling him a moral grandstander who criticized billionaires even when they did something good.
In this trying time, Ethan has had plenty of time to sit on Twitter and morally grandstand and basically spread his political beliefs as they may be and as pseudo-intellectual as he comes across. But that's not even my concern. My concern is his donation shaming and how hypocritical it is, and it's something that has actually pissed me off enough to make this video.
The video, which leaned heavily on Mutahar's righteous anger, quickly spread across timelines. It was exactly the kind of attention-driven momentum that many creators thrived on, but this time the facts weren't on his side. Within days, Ethan Klein responded, not with another moral tirade, but with evidence. He played back his own live streams and showed, line by line, that he had never criticized Bezos' donation. His original comments were about Amazon's labor practices and its sick leave policy, not the donation itself.
I talked about how Amazon was only giving sick leave to people who test positive for coronavirus, which, I mean, admittedly is insane and obviously not donation shaming. I talked about Whole Foods asking its employees to donate their own sick days to other employees so they could take time off. Well, that's not donation shaming. What it is. I did say that Jeff Bezos is looking more and more like Lex Luthor.
He then mocked Mutahar's opening line.
Because this video is sponsored by a take.
Imagine making a video that starts with, "This video was sponsored by a take," and the take didn't even happen, and then all of a sudden that take is yours, Dad.
Mutahar had made a critical factual error, the kind that a few minutes of verification could have prevented. Ethan's rebuttal made it clear that Mutahar hadn't actually checked the source material before launching into outrage mode. The hypocrisy accusation was baseless. Realizing the scale of the mistake, Mutahar quickly deleted the video and issued an apology.
Realizing how big my channel actually is, I have responsibility to not make claims. And with that said, I give my whole apologies to Ethan and Gila for sure. I feel like they both deserve it hardcore.
The apology itself seemed sincere, acknowledging the responsibility that came with his platform, but what stood out was the behavior that led to it. Overconfidence, lack of research, and the impulse to moralize first and fact-check later. This was the first visible crack in Mutahar's image as a voice of reason. Curiously though, Mutahar escaped major backlash. His audience, who largely disliked Ethan Klein and H3H3 Productions, brushed off the incident. Many of his fans praised him for apologizing, while others, however, believed it to be a wake-up call. But to understand how he cultivated such a large audience that would back him even in his failings, you have to go all the way back to the start of his channel. The story of Mutahar Anas of SomeOrdinaryGamers began way back in March 15th, 2012, when he and his friend Zahed decided to launch a small YouTube channel together. Their first upload, a Let's Play of The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, was nothing out of the ordinary by 2012 standards. Just two friends joking around and exploring a game they loved.
Hello everyone, welcome to our first Let's Play on YouTube. We're doing Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. And could you explain to them why we're doing this?
Yeah, so Mutahar here hasn't played Ocarina of Time. I mean, he has a file, he just didn't start it. So we're gonna go start on with that. And right now we're debating on to start it on file 2 or 3 because we like our numbers. And
I mean, damn, these must be some ghetto-ass artists. Oh, that's so tap that.
Uh-oh.
Look at that. Look at that guy. Look at how badass he is. No, I'm kidding.
Red
Looks
face.
rape face. Total rape face, kids.
In those early months, Zahed took the lead on a series called Cancelled Gaming, exploring unreleased and forgotten titles that never made it to store shelves. Meanwhile, Mutahar carved out his own niche, Haunted Gaming, a series dedicated to creepypastas, cursed cartridges, and unsettling internet legends. These two formats form the twin pillars of the channel's identity, but it didn't take long for one personality to stand out, Mutahar's. The thing that many found amazing about Mutahar is that he had a talent for turning grainy screenshots and obscure forum posts into captivating narratives, and viewers gravitated toward his grounded tone in an era of mostly boring YouTube personalities. By late 2013, the dynamic had changed completely. Zahed's involvement faded, and Mutahar took sole ownership of the channel. SomeOrdinaryGamers crossed the 10,000 subscriber milestone, which was a huge number for the time, and became a one-man operation. From that point forward, Haunted Gaming and Cancelled Gaming evolved beyond simple series. They became the core pillars of the brand, establishing SomeOrdinaryGamers as a reliable source of strange, atmospheric, and thoughtful gaming commentary. In a landscape dominated mostly by loud personalities, Mutahar stood out as something different by being more analytical and strangely magnetic.
Hey everyone, me Mutahar, and we're doing a little...
That phrase became the heartbeat of SomeOrdinaryGamers. It became something like an audio cue that immediately transported viewers into Mutahar's strange, unsettling world of haunted cartridges.
Hey guys, me Mutahar, SomeOrdinaryGamers, and we're playing System Shock 2. Haven't uploaded a video of this in a while, so wanted to get back into it and play some System Shock 2.
During this period, the channel thrived on three pillars of content: creepypastas, indie horror reviews, and cancelled game retrospectives. These were crafted like episodes in an anthology, each one exploring a corner of gaming culture that mainstream creators ignored. Mutahar's Haunted Gaming series stood out as one of YouTube's most atmospheric collections of horror storytelling. Each episode mostly explored urban legends like Sonic.exe, Ben Drowned, Polybius, and other tales that blurred the line between fiction and reality. While others treated creepypastas as mere campfire stories, Mutahar's presentation gave them a documentary-style gravity, because he would analyze screenshots, examine supposed ROMs, and dissect forum posts as if he were conducting a genuine investigation. However, Mutahar's defining leap came in the mid-2010s, when he unveiled a new series that would completely reshape his image and propel the channel into YouTube legend, Deep Web Explorations.
Question videos is time where I have to ask the community about something too with the content that I produce for you all. As you all know, the Deep Web video seems to have gotten quite a positive reaction out of people watching. It seems like a lot of people have really wanted that for a long time. And I've come to realize something too. I really enjoyed doing it.
Each week, Mutahar would venture into the so-called deep web, the unindexed corners of the internet, browsing through crazy, unsettling, or illegal websites while narrating his thoughts to viewers. The Deep Web Exploration playlist would go on to accumulate hundreds of millions of views, making Mutahar one of YouTube's elite. By 2016, SomeOrdinaryGamers had become synonymous with rational curiosity, something like an antidote to YouTube hysteria. Mutahar's tone, his composure, and his habit of verifying before reacting earned him a reputation as the reasonable guy in the commentary community. He wasn't a provocateur or a clout chaser. He was, as fans described him, the only adult in the room. This was exactly when his interests began to widen. He began shifting his focus toward internet controversies, scams, tech conspiracies, and YouTuber drama. He started talking about everything from shady online marketplaces to influencer meltdowns and privacy breaches. He dissected social media trends, criticized exploitative content farms, called out corrupt and foul YouTubers and other predatory practices on YouTube. The pivot felt natural. While commentary channels like Kleinstar's Drama Alert and Ethan Klein's H3H3 Productions thrived on escalation, Mutahar carved out the opposite identity. Throughout this period, he also expanded his output into discussions of cybersecurity, cryptocurrency, and tech ethics, reinforcing his brand as someone who understood the machinery behind the chaos. By late 2019, SomeOrdinaryGamers was approaching 2 million subscribers, a milestone that symbolized how far Mutahar had come from his early days of ghost stories and cursed cartridges. Yet, as YouTube was about to enter a new decade, Mutahar's calm voice would soon find itself at the center of storms he could no longer narrate from a distance. And this is where the Ethan Klein controversy would come in, marking the first real controversy for the creator, but it was only the first of many. Eventually the controversy faded, but the impression lingered. Mutahar's credibility had been nicked, and while his career momentum continued, the incident foreshadowed a recurring theme. For the first time, Mutahar's biggest flaw was visible not in what he said, but in what he didn't bother to verify. After the Ethan Klein problem, Mutahar's credibility seemed momentarily shaken, but fate soon handed him an opportunity to rebuild it. Between 2020 and 2023, he would experience a career high point that redefined his public image, positioning him as one of YouTube's most credible independent investigators. This leads us to the JStation hoax, another infamous scandal in YouTube's modern history, but before we get into it, you need to know who this guy is. JStation was, or still is, a Canadian YouTuber who was notorious for his 3 AM challenge videos and exploitation of tragedy for clicks, had already built a whole thing as one of the platform's most unethical creators. His niche was to use shock, fake supernatural events, and even death to farm views. He and his then-girlfriend, Alexia Morano, ran the Dream Team channel, where they created sensational videos involving Ouija boards, haunted dolls, and spirit communication, and stuff like that. But in January 2020, JStation crossed a line that even his critics didn't see coming. He uploaded a tearful video titled something along the lines of "My girlfriend Alexia died," claiming she had been killed by a drunk driver in a hit-and-run accident. The upload was laced with dramatic pauses and emotional manipulation. Jay thanked fans for their support, referenced their dream of hitting 1 million subscribers, and vowed to keep her legacy alive. "Thank you guys so much for all your support," Jay said into the camera, appearing distraught. "She just wanted to reach 1 million subscribers. We were working so hard."
Thank you guys so much for all of your support, especially on mine and Alexia's channel, Dream Team. She just wanted to get 1 million subscribers. We were working so...
At first, many viewers expressed condolences, but almost immediately, others noticed inconsistencies. Alexia's family hadn't posted anything, no local news outlets reported the accident, and Jay's demeanor seemed kinda performative. Then, days later, he posted another video titled "Contacting My Dead Girlfriend Alexia at 3 AM Challenge," in which he pretended to use a Ouija board to communicate with her spirit.
One on each side of the Ouija board, just like this. I am so freaking scared right now, guys.
It was one of the most distasteful stunts ever uploaded to YouTube, and it might have gone unchecked if not for Mutahar's intervention. Being Canadian himself, Mutahar knew how to search public records within the Toronto jurisdiction. He pulled up death registries, contacted local authorities, and began to fact-check Jay's claims in real time during a video.
So, in Toronto, nobody by that name specifically has suffered any form of death, right?
No. I have an Alexia, but there's no death in that.
Okay.
Within days, Alexia herself appeared online, confirming that she was alive and denouncing Jay for lying about her death. What happened after that wasn't so pretty.
Coming out to confirm that she was in fact alive and well, and YouTube would finally step.
YouTube, under mounting public pressure, banned Jay from the platform to show how far he had crossed the line. In the aftermath, Mutahar was hailed as a hero. His investigation had not only exposed one of YouTube's most disgusting hoaxes, but had also proven that independent creators could conduct meaningful, fast-driven journalism in a space dominated by clickbait, especially after the Klein thing. From then on, he wasn't just a commentator anymore, he was a trusted watchdog. For a brief moment, Mutahar embodied everything his brand promised: rational, fearless, ethical. But as history would soon show, the same confidence that made him bold enough to uncover the truth would also make him reckless enough to ignore it. Over the next few years, he continued to grow his reputation through a string of other investigations that showcased both his technical competence and his commitment to transparency. One of the most notable of these was his deep dive into the Club Penguin scandal, a video that would go on to amass nearly 4 million views. The once wholesome Disney-owned online world, famous for its family-friendly snow forts and puffles, had devolved into a haven for inappropriate and illegal activity following the rise of unofficial private servers.
That leaves me unfazed over the internet. It's stories of predators hanging around near children's games. You know, I've seen it years ago with the Minecraft community when a lot of exposing was going on. But the thing is, I wasn't surprised and I wasn't shocked. The thing is, this stuff unfortunately goes pretty hand in hand. Now, today's video is all about Club Penguin, and a lot of you might say, well, Muta, Club Penguin's gone. And you're right, it does not operate in an official capacity, despite some of the news sites that almost make it seem like it still does.
The video struck a nerve. For many, Club Penguin was a huge piece of their childhood. Seeing it corrupted like this was hard. Not long after, he joined forces with another prominent figure in the commentary world, Nicholas DeOrio, to investigate a creator known as Mama Max, a YouTuber whose entire brand revolved around hunting predators. Initially, both Mutahar and DeOrio had viewed Max as a force for good, someone using his platform to expose real danger online, but as they dug deeper, it wasn't quite as it seemed.
Hello guys and gals, me Mutahar, and today we're going to be looking at a pretty interesting update regarding Mama Max. Now usually when I do an investigation on the internet or make a big video, usually the matters are pretty done and dusted right there. I don't really have to go back. But, you know, since then there's actually been a lot of developments that I think are worth talking about and worth revisiting. Now to give you an idea, about the end of last year, I covered a creator known as Mama Max, who used to be a friend of mine, alright, a friend of Nexpo, friend of Nick Crowley, friend of a lot of people in the horror community. Now Max was a content creator that was known for filming investigations and takedowns on unsavory people on the internet, specifically being unsavory towards those that are not of age, okay? Now, it turned out that I think nearly all of Max's investigative materials were complete nonsense. Now, Max had an interesting style of producing content, his editing was...
Together, they uncovered how Mama Max's content mixed real accusations with dramatized elements, creating confusion between what was real and fake. Behind the scenes, Max's behavior with collaborators raised red flags with accusations of manipulation, over-dramatization, and exploiting serious topics for engagement. The collaboration between Mutahar and DeOrio helped dismantle the myths surrounding Mama Max, showing that even those who claim to be heroes of the platform could fall victim to the same narcissism and recklessness as the predators they claim to expose.
ChatGPT understands the legal system.
Which is not true, by the way. Don't even believe that for a second. All right, Max was not exactly a truthful individual. Now, the reason why Max came into prominence was at the time, Max was running a video series regarding something known as God Cult. A cult which was centered around guarding our children, okay? God, guard our children, you get the idea?
But as the years rolled forward, that reputation would become increasingly fragile, because for all the times Mutahar exposed the lies of others, there were some deceptions and inconsistencies that he could not or would not confront within himself. But we'll get into all that a bit later. By late 2023, Mutahar's investigative reputation had reached its apex. He had taken down scammers, debunked hoaxes, and peeled back the web's darker corners, all while earning the trust of millions. It was in this climate of credibility that he partnered with fellow YouTuber Carl Jobst for what would become one of the most high-profile exposés of his career, the Completionist charity scandal. The investigation centered on Gerard the Completionist Khalil, a well-known gaming personality celebrated for his exhaustive game reviews and philanthropy. For years, Gerard had run a non-profit organization called the Open Hand Foundation, reportedly in honor of his late mother, which promised to raise funds for Alzheimer's and dementia research. On the surface, it was a noble cause for sure, a YouTuber using his platform for good, but when Mutahar and Carl began examining the charity's public tax filings, a different picture started to emerge. Their videos alleged that hundreds of thousands of dollars in donations had never actually reached any Alzheimer's organizations. Instead, the funds appeared to be sitting idle in a foundation account, unspent and unallocated.
Gals, me Mutahar, I'm going to start you off with a question. When you donate to a charity live stream and that money leaves your bank account and it goes to the charity, do you expect that money to actually be going to the charity that you're donating to, or do you expect it to sit in a bank account for years? What do you think is the more logical option? Do you want your money to go that year, or do you want it to just sit in a bank account doing...
The evidence was actually compelling, with screenshots of tax forms, on-camera explanations, and a recorded call with Gerard himself, who seemed to stumble through answers.
You know, I think that's my up. I have personally donated to AFTD and Alzheimer's Association over the years, and that's where, again, I assumed the money was going there to support them as we were talking negotiations about working with them. I don't really have a true answer for that, and that's on me completely.
The tone of his response only deepened suspicion. For a brief moment, Mutahar was back in the spotlight, but again, that spotlight wouldn't last. A few weeks later, a YouTube channel called Accountant on YouTube, run by an actual financial professional, released a video dissecting Mutahar and Carl's work, and it was bad, to put it lightly. It revealed that Mutahar and Carl had misinterpreted key financial data, made faulty calculations, and failed to consider standard nonprofit practices. Worse still, it highlighted a growing problem in the YouTube ecosystem, creators playing experts in fields they weren't qualified for.
I remember watching Mutahar's video where he asks for an accountant with some experience to look into this.
I want everyone professional in the industry to look into this, because this is very, again, when I said that this raises red flags to any CPA or accountant that I've shown, there's a reason for that.
Ask and you shall receive, my friend.
To his credit, Mutahar claimed in follow-up commentary that they had consulted an accountant, though no documentation or direct quotes were provided. To many, it looked like damage control. Still, the core of their investigation, that the Open Hand Foundation had held onto donations for years without acting on them, remained true. Even with flaws in their methodology, they had uncovered real wrongdoing, and that fact earned them credit from the public. However, this moment could prove to be the last time Mutahar stood firmly in good standing with the YouTube community world. Because soon after, Mutahar's investigative instincts would turn inward toward his own circle of friends, collaborators, and decisions. And in doing so, the man once praised for exposing lies would find himself accused of living them. In December 2021, Mutahar set out to expand beyond his solo commentary work with the launch of the Some Ordinary podcast, a roundtable show featuring himself, Oompaville, and NuxTaku. The idea had three distinct personalities: the investigative straight man, Mutahar, the comedic chaos agent Oompa, and the eccentric anime YouTuber Nux, discussing internet culture, gaming, and drama in long-form conversations. The show premiered with strong reception. Fans loved the chemistry, and over time, they hosted major YouTube figures like Turkey Tom, SomeOrdinaryGamers collaborators, and various commentators, giving the podcast an air of credibility and fun.
Oh, what is happening, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the newest episode of the Some Ordinary podcast. It is me with my alter ego Mutahar here, and we have, for the second time on the podcast, Turkey Tom. Last time I spoke to him,
what's up?
We watched dog hentai. So this is good. I'm happy that we're in a better context now.
For some context, you made me watch dog hentai.
I did not make you watch dog hentai.
You paid me $100,000 to watch dog hentai, which is the only reason I did that.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Some Ordinary podcast. I'm the only person here that matters, and then there's everybody else.
Yo!
Starting off strong.
Love that. Love that. This man, he's been high on Tate speech. We respect.
I've been hanging out with fashion.
By early 2023, the Some Ordinary podcast had carved out a respectable niche. It wasn't the biggest show on YouTube, but it had a loyal following. But like many of Mutahar's ventures, its downfall would not be too far out. In mid-2024, long-simmering rumors about NuxTaku's ties to the controversial NSFW artist Shadman began resurfacing online. Shadman, known for creating explicit and often disturbing artwork featuring underage characters, had long been a radioactive name in the YouTube and art communities. At first, NuxTaku denied all these claims, saying that Shadman DM'd him some weird stuff out of the blue, and he'd made fun of it many times over on the podcast and also in videos, adding that he never commissioned, promoted, or was friends with Shadman. But then it was later revealed in an online forum that he once asked for a collaboration with Shadman and was lying to his audience. As those ties came under renewed scrutiny, fans began asking tough questions. Why was Nux still part of the show? Would Mutahar, the so-called reasonable guy, continue collaborating with someone now seen as morally compromised? The situation came to a head in July 2024, when Mutahar appeared on the Chud Logic livestream, a British political and commentary streamer known for interrogating YouTube controversies. It began as a casual discussion, but quickly turned into a bombshell revelation.
Must ask you something, okay? I'm hearing and seeing a lot of rumours and criticism of NuxTaku for his connection to Shadman that many are saying he's trying to disassociate himself from now because it's controversial. Do you have any perspectives or takes on that?
I haven't followed anything on it. I did have a call with him, and he did tell me like they interacted before. I think it was like the collab shit. Okay. And from just like behind the scenes, he told me that this was all like a joke or something at the time, which is like I never pressed so hard into that just because I have no knowledge of like how far his relationship goes. All I know about Shadman is like the last 6 days there's been a mega leak of everyone's interactions, like Elvis the Alien, Nux, everyone. So it's like,
are you gonna keep him off the podcast?
Chud pressed Mutahar on the situation, asking if the podcast would continue amid the controversy.
Are you gonna keep him off the podcast?
No, we would cancel the podcast. It's not happening. The podcast is done.
This is hard because obviously, you know, people won't be
podcast is done, yeah. Podcast is done now.
Wait, what?
He even elaborated, citing the recent wave of allegations and expressing discomfort with Nux's involvement.
Podcast is done, yeah. Podcast is done now.
Wait, what?
Yeah, the podcast is over. We are not filming the last episode. It's over.
Is that are you serious?
Yeah, we're not doing the podcast anymore. It's done.
Why?
We're supposed to film on Tuesday. Well, there's a couple reasons for it. A lot of that was obviously some of the Shad stuff too, because we were kind of sitting there, we're like, me and Caleb, we were just like, this is, I don't know. It's...
Chud and his audience took him at his word. Within hours, YouTube commentary channels began reporting that Some Ordinary Podcast was officially over, framing the decision as Mutahar's moral stance against NuxTaku's associations. But then, only 4 days later, the final episode of the podcast dropped.
Start this show, The Gamer from Mars. And this week, we've got a lot to talk about because, my God, there's been misunderstandings, one of the largest YouTube empires, possibly on the verge of collapse, the fall of the Roman Empire, so to speak, and God knows what else in the fucking internet sphere, dude.
Yeah, holy what a ride.
So, first thing I want to address is, obviously, Nux. Nux, you've had a internet relationship with a internet bad guy known as Shadman that I guess we've all jumped into the vortex of. I just want to stress this podcast was never really ending because of that. It's a bit of a restructure. I did end up going out filming with Caleb, actually, in Stephenville, Texas, and there was a lot of I guess content plans that kind of came out of it. I really do like the IRL stream or IRL podcast kind of format, so it's a bit...
Not only had Mutahar claimed on a live stream that the show was cancelled, but he had given every indication that production had stopped completely. The release of a new episode without any clarification made it appear as though he had lied directly to Chud Logic's face. When Chud confronted him live, the exchange was tense.
Are you lying f***ing scumbag? What is your problem, dude? Why do you throw me under the bus for some dude that's got lolly in his videos? What is your problem?
Hello?
Mutahar initially didn't respond. A long, awkward silence filled the stream before he eventually joined the call. When he finally did speak, his tone was calm but evasive.
Word, obviously he was going for an interview, and the interview I believe never happened. So there's no way to go off on if he's like a Shadman defender.
Okay, this is all rambling that you're doing to distract from the issue, Mutahar. Let's cut to the chase here, okay? You said point A on my stream, okay, which gave one impression, and then you said point B. Point A being the podcast is ending, and it was very strongly implied it was because of NuxTaku, and then there's this investigation you apparently need to do, and then later
no,
like...
there was a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and it was a stream. We got into it. I couldn't discuss this one business aspect at the time because we were severing ties. We had our contracts with the company. This was not something that I could get into.
It was a diplomatic answer, but it rang hollow. The timing, the wording, and the way he'd let speculation spread for days before clarifying all combined to make him look dishonest and manipulative. The backlash was spreading quickly. On Reddit, Mutahar's own community turned critical. The SomeOrdinaryGamers subreddit got filled with posts questioning his integrity, with comments accusing him of playing both sides and talking like a PR rep instead of a real person. Over on Twitter, things got worse. Screenshots of conflicting statements circulated widely, alongside memes labeling him Muta the Gaslighter and pointing out your deception. To make matters worse, Mutahar's long-standing brand clashed violently with his new image of someone who blurred truth for convenience. His reputation for transparency, earned over a decade, began to fade. And this was only the beginning, because what came next was far worse. It started on the SomeOrdinaryGamers subreddit, when a user unearthed an old collaboration video featuring Mutahar, NuxTaku, Oompaville, recorded roughly 3 years prior. The clip showed the group reacting to hentai content, including scenes with sexualized depictions of underage characters in anime. At first, the video seemed like typical stuff from a bygone YouTube era, but in 2024, when NuxTaku was already under scrutiny for alleged ties to Shadmen, the resurfaced footage hit like a bomb. Within hours, the controversy escaped Mutahar's community and hit the mainstream of online discourse, when Hassan Piker, one of Twitch's most watched political streamers, was shown the clip live by a viewer while reacting to one of Mutahar's unrelated videos criticizing Twitch. His chat exploded. Thousands of viewers spam Mutahar's name, memes, and accusations. What might have stayed a niche scandal in commentary circles was now front-page Twitch drama. Hassan's reaction went viral, and within 24 hours, Mutahar's name trended on Twitter.
Ali, shut the up. Ain't no way. Ain't no way that Muta is in the lolly. No, I don't believe that. That sounds nuts. Wait, why is his account locked? Why is his account inactive, preventing impersonation? Wait, what? Wait, what? Resurfaced video of Oompaville, SomeOrdinaryGamers, and NuxTaku watching lolly porn together on a Discord call?
Facing mounting pressure, Mutahar did what he always did in times of crisis. He made a video titled Post-Nux Clarity. The 39-minute upload was meant to be a clear-headed reflection on his friendship with NuxTaku, an apology for the resurfaced clip, and an attempt at damage control.
Accountability to actual mistakes. Now, the thing about this is, obviously, I can upload these kind of videos onto secondary platforms, but I really think, for full effect, I should always upload to the main platform and really talk to you guys in a full level-headed way. Now, I have a Reddit board known as SomeOrdinaryGamers, and you can post whatever memes and things you want all day, every day. But one of the clips that I saw, one of the things shared, was resurfaced video of Oompaville, SomeOrdinaryGamers, and NuxTaku watching lolly together on a Discord call. So when I see this kind of stuff, it blows me, and obviously it flashbangs anybody, and I want to definitely have a talk about it and really explain to you exactly what this is, what it's about, give you my side of the perspective, and again, take accountability where accountability needs to be taken. But to go back to it, NuxTaku is a former collaborator, a former friend of mine, and I mean really a former friend of mine, because some of the stuff that I've seen over here is disgusting enough that I really can't continue a friendship, and I really can't, like, again, excuse some of my behavior.
He explained that the clip was from 2021, that it had been recorded during a lighthearted group session, and he had no idea what the contents would be beforehand. He went on to condemn Nux directly.
NuxTaku is a former collaborator, a former friend of mine, and I mean really a former friend of mine, because some of the stuff that I've seen over here is disgusting enough that I really can't continue a friendship, and I really can't, like, again, excuse some of my behavior watching some of this content as well. So this video that was uploaded with, again, NuxTaku as Jeffrey Epstein and me as, I assume, Ghislaine Maxwell over here, Mutahar Nunt, right? So obviously in this clip, or in this video, there is a pretty big clip of me, NuxTaku, and Quite, and Caleb basically watching and reviewing hentai together. Now, while all three of us were present in this video, this is a section from me, right? Now, obviously, these videos, according to how this video is played, was uploaded on YouTube. Now, for full context, when it comes to recording stuff, this was 3 years ago, so I don't remember everything done onto it. I don't think anybody can remember something they did 3 years ago, especially when you make videos nearly every day.
For a brief moment, some fans appreciated the honesty, but others noticed something off. The tone was less about accountability and more about self-preservation. It sounded like someone trying to get ahead of the narrative, not someone reflecting on a mistake. Ah, the classic asshole apology. I'm sorry you're offended. And then, as quickly as it appeared, it vanished. Within 6 hours, Mutahar deleted the video and replaced it with a short, vague written statement. He claimed he had resolved things privately with those involved and that the matter was better handled off camera. He described the upload as a bad decision made in frustration. The deletion of Post-Nux Clarity transformed a controversy into a full-blown character crisis, and his community reacted harshly. On Reddit, top comments accused him of deflecting and not taking accountability, and using apologies as performance pieces. Worse yet, Mutahar's reputation for moral clarity, the same trait that had once separated him from the average drama YouTuber, was now gone. viewers began revisiting older contradictions, the Ethan Klein misfire, the Completionist tax blunder, the conflicting statements on the NuxTaku podcast. Every inconsistency started to look like part of a larger pattern. In the weeks following, Mutahar announced in another video that he would be stepping away from drama content to focus on positive tech-based topics.
At least addressing why I took a hiatus a week and a half ago. See, I talk about taking accountability, and one of the accountability things that I want to take is making video titled Post Nux Clarity about a week and a half ago, where, again, I took a matter that I probably should have handled over a phone call privately, and I made it a whole public thing for about, a few hours, and it's one of those things that I should have handled, again, privately, talking to Nux, somebody I've worked with for years. Now, this was all in relation to a collaboration we did on his channel about, 2021, 2020 at this point. And it was one where, again,
But by late 2024, he was right back at it, uploading commentary on Johnny Somali's drama and other controversies. The dissonance between his words and actions made fans cynical. The voice of reason was now seen as a serial opportunist, a man who pivoted his morals to match the public mood. Former collaborators like Nicholas DeOrio, Turkey Tom, and Chud Logic all distanced themselves. The trust that had taken years to build had evaporated in months. But again, that wasn't the end of it. For years, Mutahar had built his brand on credibility. He wasn't just another YouTuber with opinions, he was, in his own words, a computer engineer, a cybersecurity expert, a programmer, and a video editor.
Regular job every day. I go to my office, I work, I come home, I cut together the video that I recorded the night, or 2 nights or whatever before, and I post that on the internet. It is a therapeutic, fun thing.
But I'm an engineer. I know how this stuff is going, so I'm not even speaking out of pocket right here, okay? If you want to disagree with me, feel free, but you're actually wrong. As somebody who is a computer, engineer, somebody who understands computer code, for instance, hearing Elon talk about computers and anything code related is actually mind-boggling.
It became a running motif across his videos, a badge of authority he would casually flash before diving into topics that most creators wouldn't touch. For his millions of followers, these credentials were what made his voice matter. When Mutahar spoke about hacking, privacy breaches, or tech-related scandals, people listened because they believed he was trained in that field. He was the internet's grounded truth-teller, a man who used his real-world expertise to cut through online noise. But in 2024, that carefully constructed image began to unravel, as Mutahar's claims about his professional background had grown increasingly ambitious.
Background, asking because a lot of CS knowledge. I did computer engineering when I went to college.
In some videos, he described himself as a software engineer, in others as a video editor for global film productions. On live streams, he even joked about nearly joining the Canadian Air Force before choosing a career in tech. The narrative fit perfectly with his persona, the disciplined, methodical engineer who traded in precision and integrity, but cracks began to form when critics, particularly Nick Andros, who's a small but really persistent YouTuber, began fact-checking his statements. Andros released a video alleging that Mutahar had fabricated his credentials, pointing to contradictions in his own uploads. In one clip, Mutahar referred to himself as a computer engineer. In another, as a video editor by trade. In yet another, he described himself as a college dropout.
By now, some of you longtime viewers know that by trade, what I do for a living is video editing. Video editing requires some pretty beefy computer hardware, and it's what I like to do. It's my job, and it's frankly how I put food on the table.
My job right now, I just sit around and trade and invest. That's what my job is.
Andros cross-referenced that claim with newer statements from Mutahar describing himself as an engineer and cybersecurity analyst, and the timeline didn't add up. If Mutahar was a dropout with no degree, how could he legally or ethically call himself an engineer?
Video engineer now. I think I know how this works. Speaking out of an engineer, like if I wasn't a computer science engineer, I wouldn't speak about Elon.
To put this in better perspective for you, in Ontario, Canada, where Mutahar resides, the title engineer is legally protected. Only licensed members of the Professional Engineers Ontario, those who have completed an accredited degree, passed professional exams, and demonstrated relevant work experience, are permitted to use the title professionally. Nick Andros highlighted this law in his exposé, suggesting that Mutahar's repeated claims might actually constitute misrepresentation under provincial regulation, saying that it's actually illegal to call yourself an engineer in Ontario if you're not licensed by PEO. That's not an opinion. that's a matter of law.
It's actually illegal to call yourself an engineer if you are not a licensed engineer. The Ontario engineering regulatory body, Professional Engineers Ontario, claims to take offense to even titles like software engineer being used instead of software developer.
This claim alone sent shock through Mutahar's fanbase. If true, it meant their favorite creator had been falsely presenting himself as a professional expert for over a decade. However, another creator, Harmful Opinions, decided to go further, contacting PEO directly to clarify whether Mutahar's statements broke any laws. Their official stance was more lenient than expected. While the PEO confirmed that only licensed individuals can professionally advertise or perform engineering services under that title, using the word engineer in an informal or entertainment context was unlikely to trigger enforcement.
Here's my 200 IQ master plan. I'm gonna get PEO officially saying he has done nothing illegal, and then make a hit piece on Nicandros for not reporting him and checking whether it was illegal or not, for being lazy.
In short, Mutahar hadn't committed a crime, but he had been misleading his audience for years. Mutahar's response came weeks later, buried in the middle of an unrelated upload. Without naming names, he addressed the growing accusations in a half-hearted apology that only seemed to dig the hole deeper.
Now, if you feel offended, if you feel wronged that I called myself an engineer while not being a degree-holding engineer, then for that I do apologize. And I will denigrate myself to, I guess, programmer or a fat Indian guy that knows a bit about computers. That's what I'll leave it.
What made it worse was the hypocrisy. This was the same man who had spent years calling out others for dishonesty and embellishment. His entire reputation was built on holding others accountable, yet here he was dodging the same standard. In the weeks that followed, things only got worse. Instead of addressing the controversy directly, Mutahar began privating old videos, deleting tweets, and blocking critics across social media. The cleanup campaign had the opposite effect, drawing even more attention to the issue. You see, Mutahar's downfall wasn't the result of one isolated mistake or controversy. It was the culmination of consistent behavior that, when viewed in sequence, painted a really bad picture. By 2025, the man had become a case study himself in the very behaviors he spent his career criticizing. But despite everything, Mutahar continued uploading. His videos still draw respectable numbers, yet the weight that once accompanied his uploads had vanished.